of Mice and Men Full Extended Summary. John Steinbeck. Introduction. A Broken America. Hi everyone, and welcome to this full, in-depth summary of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This powerful novel, published in 1937, is set during one of the darkest times in American history, the Great Depression. Millions were unemployed. Dreams were shattered. For many, survival was the only goal. Against this bleak backdrop, Steinbeck tells the story of two men, George Milton and Lennie Small, who dream of something better. A small piece of land. A place to call their own. A little farm where they can live freely and happily. But life, Steinbeck reminds us, is rarely kind to dreamers. George and Lennie, unlikely companions. George is small, quick-witted, and protective. Lennie is huge, physically strong, but mentally disabled, with a childlike innocence. Together, they travel from ranch to ranch, taking any work they can find. Their dream keeps them going. We got a future. We got somebody to talk to that gives a damn about us. This bond is rare in the harsh world Steinbeck describes. Most men travel alone, trusting no one. But George and Lennie are different. Their friendship is their greatest strength and their greatest vulnerability. Lennie's strength, combined with his inability to understand his own power, creates danger wherever they go. In fact, they were forced to flee their last job after Lennie frightened a woman by touching her dress, not out of malice, but confusion and fascination with its softness. The dream a place of their own. George and Lennie cling to a simple yet profound dream, owning a little piece of land where they can raise animals, grow crops, and live off the fat of the land. For Lennie, the highlight is always the rabbits, soft creatures he longs to care for. Tell me about the rabbits, George. This dream becomes their beacon, their hope, their reason to endure endless hardship. It represents freedom, security, and dignity, things nearly impossible for itinerant workers during the Depression. But even as they dream, the shadow of reality looms. Arrival at the ranch. When they arrive at a ranch near Soledad, California, George and Lennie meet a range of characters, each carrying their own burdens. A scents candy, an old handyman missing one hand, fears he will soon be useless and abandoned. I sense Crooks, the black stable hand, lives isolated because of his race and has grown bitter and defensive. I sense Curly, the boss's aggressive son, is always looking for a fight, especially with men bigger than him. I sense Curly's wife, unnamed throughout the novel, is lonely and dreams of escaping her unhappy marriage for a life of fame. Each of these characters embodies loneliness and unfulfilled dreams. They live close together but remain emotionally isolated. A glimmer of hope. When Candy overhears George and Lennie talking about buying their farm, he offers his life savings to join them. Suddenly, the dream feels possible. For the first time, it seems they might actually escape the brutal cycle of labor and poverty. Crooks, too, briefly allows himself to hope. For one fleeting moment, four outcasts imagine a better future. But dreams in Steinbeck's world are fragile. Tension builds. Tension rises when Curly picks a fight with Lennie. George urges Lennie not to fight back, but when Curly attacks, Lennie crushes his hand in self-defense, showcasing his dangerous strength. Curly's wife, sensing Lennie's mental simplicity, seeks him out. She, too, is desperately lonely. She tells Lennie about her lost dreams of becoming a movie star. Lennie, fascinated by her soft hair, asks to touch it. When she panics, Lennie becomes frightened and accidentally kills her while trying to silence her cries. In one terrible moment, their dream, their shared hope shatters. The tragic climax. When Curly's wife's body is discovered, the ranch erupts into chaos. A mob forms to hunt Lennie down. Knowing what awaits his friend, either a violent death at the hands of the mob or brutal imprisonment, George makes an agonizing decision. He finds Lennie hiding at the place they agreed on if anything ever went wrong. Lennie, unaware of the full gravity of the situation, asks George to tell him again about their farm, the rabbits, and the life they'll have. As George paints the dream one last time, he raises the gun, his hand trembling, and shoots Lennie in the back of the head, giving him a merciful death. George spares Lennie from the cruelty of the world they could never escape. Themes and Symbols of Mice and Men explores several powerful themes. 1. The American dream. George and Lennie's dream represents the hope for a better future, but Steinbeck shows how unattainable that dream was for most poor workers. 2. Friendship and loyalty. Their bond is rare and precious in a lonely world, emphasizing the human need for connection. 3. Strength and weakness. Physical strength, like Lennie's, can be a blessing and a curse. Emotional and societal strength is often tied to race, gender, and class. 4. Loneliness and isolation. Every character battles loneliness. Steinbeck portrays loneliness as the defining condition of human life. 5. Mercy and responsibility. George's final act is both loving and heartbreaking, a brutal mercy that questions what it truly means to protect those we love. The meaning behind the title. The title of Mice and Men is taken from a line in Robert Burns's poem, "The best laid schemes o' mice and men, gang aft ugly." In modern English, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. It reflects how no matter how carefully or beautifully humans may dream, reality often destroys those dreams without mercy. Final reflection. Of Mice and Men is not a story about triumph. It's a story about the beauty of hope and the inevitability of disappointment. It's about how the human spirit can continue to dream even when the world is brutal and unfair. Through George and Lennie, Steinbeck shows us that dreams can sustain us, friendships can define us, and compassion, even when painful, is a rare and precious thing. In the end, Of Mice and Men leaves us asking, a sense, how far would we go to protect the ones we love? I sense, is a merciful act still a cruel one? I sense, and why do we dream knowing so often those dreams are destined to be broken? Thanks for joining me on this journey through Steinbeck's unforgettable masterpiece. If you enjoyed this summary and analysis, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thoughtful dives into classic literature. See you next time.